Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am finally here with the Tonic Craft Kit number 11. There was an issue with shipping, so I did receive it late, but you know what? They came through. So I'm going to give you some inspiration. But first, let's look at what is or what did come in the kit. So of course we get our specialty papers. The specialty papers are olive green, weave textured, brick red, a pearlescent and rusted crimson. You get 2 of the red berries, and you get 3 of the evergreen fir, and they are absolutely gorgeous when it comes to their texture. You get 2 small Nouveau drops in holiday cheer and olive branch, and that is what they look like. It's funny, the holiday cheer looks purple. Trust me, it dries red. You get a pot of prickly pear glitter, and then you also will get a little pot of seaweed quartz. This is their glimmer paste, so it's like a it's like a glimmer paste, lots of sequins or lots of glitter going on in there. You also get a pot of the aloe vera mousse, which is a new color, and then you will get a Aquaflow marker from the festive season collection once they launch that. You will also get a pot of the prickly pear sequins. So with the Aquaflow, you could either get a gold, or excuse me, a golden yellow, a deep red, or a olive green. So in mine, I received the red. So now that's all the fun stuff. Now here's the stamp set that you receive. You get a beautiful sentiment, some snowflakes, and even one to also go into the fall with some leaves. And these are your dies. These dies are extremely versatile. I mean, extremely versatile. They do link up to each other. And what I did was I did die cut each of these. So you saw the bells. This is the one with an edge, because you get 2 edge dies as well, and again they match to what I would call your focal die can be. So that was your first one with the holly leaves. You have snowflakes, and then I used the straight edge with it. The next one up, these 2 will actually link together, so it's really cool. If you take that piece, you can see how the vine connects in. I actually just saw that in my own video. Yes. But so these are very interactive with each other, or they can stand alone. So it's really kind of interesting how you can do this. You don't have the border that comes underneath the 2 on the bottom. Let them go over the edge. So there's all kinds of things. But I did do 5 projects with this. The first one is going to be an extremely large shaker card, because I love shaker cards. So what I did was I used the bells and I cut out on my panel. Now I used a stitch rectangle. I cut my 3 pieces between the green and the festive berries and this white panel. I have my piece of acetate already cut, so I used the same frame die for each of those, because then I know it's all the same shape and size. On the panel that's all cut up, the white, I'm now going to use my tape runner to attach that to my acetate. I know I've got all kinds of openings going on here and everything else. And then this small piece, I'm going to do the same thing, because the way that I use the bell die cuts, of course, it took that piece off. So if you do that, remember to save that piece. Yes, I had to do this a couple times. So that is pretty much set. I am not at this time going to put those white die cuts back in place. I'm then going to take my green border that I created. Now that was just taking the same large die that I used and a smaller one. They're nested rectangles. And then to get that border edge, I'm going to place that on top of all of this die cut panel that I've created. So now I've got the green border, I've got the white panel that's die cut, and then I have my acetate underneath. I just had to do a little bit of trimming. I like to keep the tissue paper that comes on that just on there in case I should scratch it or mess it up with the glue. Not that it matters because it's on the other side. I covered this with double-sided foam tape, just all pieces, but I wanted it open. So it's not like the shakers are just going to be in the bell parts. It's almost like they can do this S movement through the card. So some areas are closed up, some areas are open. I'm then going to put the prickly pear sequins, and I loaded it, and I'm going to put the back panel of my festive berries on top of that just to seal it up. I'm going to put a lot of pressure. Had to have my coffee there. Had to put a lot of pressure just to make sure that those little pieces of foam, double-sided foam tape, adhere to the back. So I've got the sequins, but I also have the texture of the specialty paper coming through. And I really like the look. Now, you could stop here. I mean, you can tell that they're bells, but of course I don't. So I grabbed my liquid adhesive with my fine tip, and I'm just going to put the glue around it, making sure I'm on the outside, and in the larger areas on the inside. I'm going to grab a pair of tweezers, and now I'm going to set this in place. I want this to overshadow on the border, because again, when I did these die cuts, I made sure I had the white panel cut with the stitch rectangle die. So these are going to perfectly fit over this panel because everything again was using that same die. So you want to make sure that you cut all of your pieces the same size so that you can actually create all of these layers. Now I wanted to continue to use the white. You could have used a gold. The gold paper would have looked beautiful for these die cuts. The problem is, you know, I just like the subtlety because you've got so much sequins, you've got so much glimmer and shine coming through the back. I think adding maybe the gold, because I did consider it, would have been just a lot, at least for me. Others may like that. So again, when you make this card or give it a try, you could use some glimmer paper if you want. Once they're all adhered, I'm going to really press down and use liquid glue. I always think the liquid glue, or I feel the liquid glue works a lot better when it comes to those specialty papers. They feel like a fabric. It's really amazing when it comes to that. I stamped the inside with a similar color of Winter Wishes, and that was our first card. Kind of got there. So for the second card, I played around with the glitter prickly pear. I created a panel using my double-sided super adhesive strong tape, and I just rubbed that, and then I'm using the snowflake edge die or border die, and I put that through my white cardstock. And before I did the die cutting of the snowflakes, I always make sure that I used my stitch rectangle die to make sure that's on the edge. I'm going to adhere the panel that's die cut on top of the glitter paper that I created, the glitter background. And I'm going to use both liquid adhesive and my tape runner. Their glitter is very super fine, the Pure Sheen glitter, and absolutely love it. But again, it is glitter. There will be some texture there. So I just like to use both a tape runner, and then the liquid adhesive will come in and seep in where the tape runner's not adhering. So again, that's just my preference, just to make sure that it does adhere. I just keep pressing down. I didn't put any adhesive where the snowflakes are. I wanted to keep that, even though it's down, I just wanted to have that level of texture. I grabbed the sentiment, and I'm using my stamp positioning tool, and I grabbed a navy blue ink, and I'm just going to stamp that. Now that piece of blue in the back of my card, that's actually a piece of fun foam. I learned that from Bibi Cameron video. She used that, and let me tell you what, I know I said it in a previous video, I no longer do stamp CPR. It looks like I do with my palm, but it's, you know, I just use my finger, and it's It's awesome. It's just the perfect amount. If you have that stamp positioner by Tonic Studios Tim Holtz, just make sure you have the rubber side up, because you have that piece of foam in there. And I'm getting beautiful image. So, again, Bibi Cameron, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm using 2 different shades of blue from the sentiment that I'm stamped, and I'm using the snowflakes, and I'm just stamping all over. Now, since I used 2, there's times where I dipped in the light and edged in the dark, just to give a variegated look to the snowflakes. I'm going to use my double-sided foam tape on the back of this panel, because it is going to sit on a navy blue 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base, and all of my bases are that 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding. I'm going to pull in, the olive branch crystal drops, and I'm just going to put those in the center of my snowflakes, only along the border, the die cut border. I'm not going to go over the ones that I stamped. And that is our second card. So for our third card, I just love the specialty papers. And by doing these, I actually used the specialty papers, but I still do hoard. I use the one border die that doesn't have another side. I mean, you can definitely keep it there by using the straight edge, but these are like the holly and the mistletoe leaves. So once I have that cut, I'm again going to pull out my stamp positioner, and I'm going to use the Winter Wishes sentiment, and I'm going to use a green ink this time, and I'm going to stamp that a couple times just to have a solid impression. So you have this, I'm using the evergreen fir, which of course is the green, but I am stamping the sentiment in green. So it just adds a little bit of contrast, and with the Nouveau drops that I'm going to use, it's going to allow them to pop out. These dies are so intricate that they can do very well just standing on their own, and you will have some absolutely beautiful cards. All the panels that I did make, the design bases that go on my card bases, are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I wanted to use the entire area when it came to that. I covered the back of the white panel with the sentiment with tons and little tiny pieces of double-sided foam tape, so that also the edges that are coming off of the bottom of that panel, that they would stay propped up as well. I'm coming in with the Holiday Cheer Nouveau drops, and I'm just going to add some accents where the berries are on this card. I'm going to add a 3-berry cluster off of the holly on the corner, and then I'm going to add a drop over the eye in Winter and the eye in Wishes. And that is our third project. Project 4, of course, I like tone on tone. Sometimes it's very pleasing to my eye. So I've cut my white panel. I used the small scalloped edge, nothing more. And I'm going to pull one of the stamps from the set that you receive. It's like the Flourish teardrop. It's on an angle. Now you can see that this actually edges up along the dies, and not just this one. It will edge up along all of them because they're all cut the same way. I'm going to use the Classic Gold embossing powder by Tonic Studios from their Nouveau line. I'm going to heat set that, and then I'm going to also heat set that using the same embossing powder with the sentiment Winter Wishes. So again, I'm going to use my stamp platform, and I'm just going to stamp this a couple times just to make sure that I get a good impression. But honestly, you don't have to. That fun foam was the best thing that I saw. It's up there. It's a great tip. So once they are heat set, I do gently wave the cardstock Remember, this is sped up, just to make sure that it is dry. I'm one that I move too fast, and there have been times where I didn't wait and I brushed my hand right across it and I removed it all. It was not a fun time. Again, lots of double-sided foam tape on the back of that white panel. And I really like the red, but I figured, you know what? This is what it would look like on the green. You may like the green better. Absolutely. I do like the tone-on tone. So I am using my liquid adhesive again because of all the texture in that paper. And I'm going to set this. Now, this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, technically a top folding card base, but I'm just turning it to the side. So now it's become a side folding card base. I'm making sure that the glue is adhering. It would be tough with acrylic blocks because, again, I have dimension going on here. I'm pulling in the olive branch Nuvo drops, and I'm just going to add some small accents around the sentiment. So large and small drops coming off of that. And I think it's just enough. You know, again, just by embossing and having those flourishes, it's a nice accent. I'm actually pulling in the pearlescent, the rusted crimson on this. I love the color. And yes, the color actually looks like that of what the video is showing. It's like a rust, so it's got a red-brown tint to it. I'm pulling in the holly and mistletoe leaf drop, and I'm going to stamp all over this piece of cardstock. Yes, it is pearlescent. Now, what's cool is you can see, because again, this is a clear watermark ink. I'm using the Nuvo brand for this video. I think it's just as good as Versamark. They are very comparable. So either one you have, they will work just fine. Now, I could stop here, and I didn't see if that would actually dry because it is a pearlescent card. But I am, of course, going to cover this with the gold embossing powder by Nuvo. And we're going to heat set that. So when you have that embossing powder over the pearlescent, it's beautiful. I do set, when I do a background panel like this, I do set it on a piece of wood because I can't hold it. I will burn my fingers. I've done it. So just setting it on there, that takes the heat and my fingers don't hurt. I'm going to use my double-sided tape for this panel instead of glue or instead of my tape runner, because I am going to pull in the aqua brush. So there is going to be some water on this. I'm not going to add any more water. I'm going to use this aqua pen all on its own. And I just love that red. To me, that's like a blood red because it's such a deep red. It's got some brown in it. And those are the red tones that I like. I'm filling in the berries, and I do a couple layers of this because I just want those berries to be accented. You could have used the Nuvo Holiday Cheer. You could have used the olive green. You could use your glitter glue if you have that. So anything. I just wanted to play around with the Aquaflow brush, and I really like them. That's really the first one that I've used. Yes, I've used the shimmer and all of that, but you're dealing with paint. It could react a little differently. Again, I'm using their clear ink and the stamp, and I'm just stamping those on the inside of the card. I am not going to put a sentiment on the outside with that. So you could make it a thank you, you could make it a sympathy, you can make it a holiday. Just by making your cards and setting them aside like that. Here are the close-ups of the 5 projects that we made today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. Now remember, this is card kit 11. And again, there was just a mess up when it came to the shipping. Nobody's fault. But I still will show the video so that you can get inspiration if you have this kit. 12 will be coming out extremely soon. So stay tuned. I did already receive that one. But just know that card kit, it may be available, it may not. If it is, I will link it down below. There may have been some extras, but I do believe this kit did sell out. Remember, if you are looking for this subscription, you want to make sure that you look at, because right now, Kit 12 is available. If the links are no longer working, that means you have to wait until the 6th or the 7th of the following month. That is when they launch the new kit. That is the best time to make sure that you go onto their website to subscribe. Okay? So even, you know, these kits, they do go fast. You can do a monthly or a quarterly. You can also get a one-off, and I would suggest going to their website and subscribing to the newsletter. You will see when the one-off purchase is available for each of their kits. All of the links will be down below. If you have a question or comment, please leave that down below as well. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope everyone's having a great day, but always remember what's most important. Always be creative.